Welcome to the deep dive. So, you handed us a really compelling stack of sources on the UK's prime residential markets.
That's right. We're looking at prime central London, key regional hubs, and the big country locations.
And our goal here is to get under the hood, really track prices, sales, buyer trends, and figure out what's actually driving the top end of the market.
hmm
And right out of the gate, the big thing is, well, it seems like political and economic volatility isn't just a factor.
It's the factor. It's the whole story right now.
Exactly. So let's start there with the political risk that's kind of defining everything.
Yeah, and what's so striking is just how fast macro policy hits sentiment. The sources kick off with the UK budget fallout, which they say caused sales to slow, well, dramatically.
And it wasn't just a general economic gloom.
No, not at all. It was this intense uncertainty around things like future wealth taxes or maybe stamp duty changes. It just made buyers and sellers, take an immediate step back.
And it's not just stuff happening here in the UK, is it? I was really struck by the mention of the US election and the prospect of a Trump presidency. How does a US vote translate into a headache for someone selling a house in London?
Well, you have to remember, prime London is.
Yeah.
It's fundamentally a global hub. So uncertainty in a U.S. election, especially with potential shifts in capital flows or a much stronger dollar,
Right.
that's something that sophisticated global buyers are absolutely digesting right now. You combine that with rising UK mortgage costs.
Even with that small mortgage market price war we've seen.
Even with that, and you can see why the sources say caution is rising in the London super prime market just ahead of any big budget news.
Okay, so with that in mind, and with rates stabilizing a little, why are prime central London sales still reported as being so stubbornly flat? I mean, shouldn't we be seeing some movement?
Right, and this is where it gets really clear. It's all about the non-dom uncertainty.
The tax status issue.
Exactly. The potential threat of losing that favorable tax status is the key. What we're seeing is buyers choosing a short-term lease over long-term capital commitment. They're hedging.
So renting instead of buying.
Precisely. They're hedging against unpredictable tax reforms. And that's why demand is boosted in London's high-value lettings market, while at the same time sales prices in prime central London just haven't moved. It's a pure divergence.
So if we take it as a given that this is all driven by political risk, what are the smart investors actually doing? I mean, what's this talk about 2026?
They're essentially pricing in future clarity. By placing these big bets on 2026, they're anticipating that once this election cycle is over, once the tax reforms are settled, value will be unlocked.
So they're getting in ahead of the curve.
They're trying to. And you can already see tactical moves, with sellers moving quicker than buyers this autumn when rates dipped. But, globally, the outlook is, well, the sources call it a sober 2025 for global prime housing markets.
It's specifically for London.
An uncertain outlook for the prime London sales market in 2025. Very cautious.
Which brings me to, well, this was the part I found really fascinating, the unexpected connection to fine wine.
Yes. It's always a great barometer for high net worth sentiment, isn't it?
So you're saying there's a direct link here between property trends and a recovery in fine wine prices.
Exactly. And it tells you something really important. Confidence is coming back to these investors, but they're putting their capital where they see, immediate stability.
So that's property for now.
Not yet. Fine wine, with Tuscany showing resilience after a tough few years for the index, is where that optimism is going. It suggests the capital is there, but it's parked, waiting for political clarity.
Fascinating.
Though to give you a specific data point, the research does name one city that's set to top the European prime residential forecast for 2025, despite all the gloom.
Okay, so when you boil it all down, what does this actually mean for you listening? The prime residential market right now is less about normal cycles and much more about navigating politics. It's buyers betting on 2026 while renting to hedge against policy risk today.
And that, I think, leaves a really interesting question for you to mull over. Given this mixed global forecast for 2025, what specific piece of domestic policy, whether it's the non-dom changes or something operational like the Renters' Rights Bill, what do you think will be the single biggest, maybe unexpected driver of prices in the UK's high-value housing market next year? Something to think about.